Hello class, this is a lecture on solving proportions using cross products. This is section 2.7 in our algebra book, and this should be a fairly quick lecture. This is a true statement. You guys should know that 3/4 is equal to 6/8, right? If you were to reduce this fraction, it would be equal to 3/4. Now, a fact that you guys might not be aware of is that when you have a fraction equal to a fraction, we can do something called cross products or cross multiply them. What that means is that if it's truly an equal fraction like this, multiplying across this way should be the same as multiplying across this way. And if we actually did that, you would see that that's a true statement. 3 times 8 is 24. And 6 times 4 is also 24. Those are equal to each other, and that will always be true for any equal fraction. I could do this with another example. You guys know that 1/2 is the same as 4/8, for example. Well, if I were to cross multiply this, 1 times 8 is 8, and 2 times 4 is also 8. So this is a convenient little trick, and we're going to use this to actually solve equations where one of these is going to be a variable, something that we do not know. So this example, we know what the answer is at 3 because we just saw this on the last slide, right? We know 3/4 is equal to 6/8. But how I'm actually going to use this to find x is I know that this multiplied by each other, 8 times x is 8x, needs to equal what this is times each other, right? 6 times 4, and that's 24. Now I have a fairly simple equation to solve. I can divide both sides by 8, and I get x is equal to 3. We knew the answer was 3, but this is a mathematical way that we can go about getting the correct answer. They will be at times more complicated than this too, so we do need this little trick. So here's another example. We have a fraction equal to a fraction. When I was student teaching, I actually had a teacher that I was working with that said, I will never teach my students how to cross multiply, because what he said is when I tell students to multiply things, 1/2 times 3/4, they want to go across each other like this. That's not what this is. It only works when there is an equal sign in the middle. So if you have a fraction equal to a fraction, like we have here, then you can multiply across. 8 times 15 is 120. And 6 times x is 6x. I want to solve for x. We know what's happening to x. It's being multiplied by 6. The way to undo a multiply by 6 is to divide by 6. When you do it to one side, you have to do it to the other. 120 over 6 is 20, is equal to x. Here's one. Why don't you go ahead and try it, pause it here, try it, make sure you get the right answer. We'll go over it here in a second. These things you multiply, you get 24a is equal to whatever 4 times 30 is, which is 120. Now you look at a, what is happening to it? It's being multiplied by 24. How do you undo a multiply by 24? Well, you divide by 24. When you do it to one side, you have to do it to the other. Those cancel, and we get a is equal to 5. I did promise that it would get a little bit more complicated. It still isn't too bad, but what's going to change is we might have quantities, more than one thing in our denominator or numerator. And also we have multiple letters, x, multiple variables here. The idea is still going to hold, though. You're going to cross multiply. You're going to multiply things, across from each other, and you get 8x here. And when you multiply this one, you're taking 4 times x minus 3. This is essentially this, right here, 4 times x minus 3. Do not just multiply the 4 times x and then leave it as minus 3. You have to remember to distribute that 4. Because 4 is being multiplied by all of it, not just the x. That'll give us 8x is equal to 4x minus 12. And now I know my steps for this because we just did this, right? We have x's on both sides. We have to bring them to the same side. I'm going to move this one here. This one is a positive 4x. The way to move a positive 4x would be to subtract a 4x. And if you do that to one side, you have to do it to the other. We know 4x minus 4x is 0, so the left side is just going to equal negative 12. And 8x minus 4x is 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and you get x is equal to negative 3. Once you guys go ahead and try this one, same idea. As the last one, just go ahead and pause it here. Try it yourself, then we'll go over it. Those multiply to 4m. One's multiplied to 5 times m minus 6. We're going to have to distribute that 5. So we multiply both the m and the negative 6 by 5. 5 times m is 5m, and 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Same idea here. I have multiple of my variable. I'm going to move them to the same side. This is a positive 5m. The way to move a positive 5m is to subtract 5m. If I do that to one side, I have to do it to the other. Those cancel. I'm left with negative 30 over here, and those 4m minus 5m is negative m. I want to get m by itself. It has like a negative 1 here, right? We don't usually write it, but that's negative 1. The way to undo that is divide both sides by negative 1. And what I end up with is m is equal to 30. That's all I have for you guys for solving proportions using cross products. Remember, this only works when you have a fraction equal to a fraction. And the key idea is to take the numerator of one and multiply it by the denominator of the other. And set that equal to the opposite denominator times the opposite numerator. These multiply and set equal to these. Let me know if you guys have any questions.